How to reference APA 7th edition. One of the most common kinds of sources that will appear in a reference list are books. However, there are subtle nuances that you need to consider when creating an entry. Books are sometimes edited, they're sometimes translated, they are sometimes an edition, and they are sometimes a volume. And there are different rules for each of these. So let's go over them. When creating a reference entry for a book, follow the standard prescribed sequence outlined by APA. This means introducing the author first, then the date, the title, and finally the location. So, in accordance with APA 7th edition, we begin with the author. The surname or family name comes first and is closed out with a comma. In this case, we have Stewart, comma. The initials of any names or initials included in the publication follow the surname and are closed with a period. In this case, we have J period. The author's name is followed with the year of publication, which is placed in parentheses and is also closed out with a period. Once we've introduced the date, we're then going to follow that with the title of the book, and that will also be closed out with a period. Because the book is large, it must be italicized. In addition, because the book has a title, not a proper name, you will not use proper name capitalization. Instead, you only capitalize the first word of the subtitle, and any proper names, initializations, or acronyms that appear in the title. You'll notice that this title is long enough to warrant a second line in the reference. In this case, it's important to note that APA uses a hanging indent for their reference page. This means the first line of the reference page will be left aligned, while the lines beneath of it will be indented, 0.5 inches or 1.27 centimeters. The reference for a traditional book will be closed out with the publisher. Important note, unlike the 6th edition of the APA manual, the 7th edition does not require the location of the publisher. In this case, we simply put Warner Brothers. There is no city, state, or province preceding the name of the publisher. What if a book has an editor? In this case, the editor's name will go in parentheses after the book title and before the publisher, and it will be closed out with a period that it shares with the book title. The editor's initials go first and then the surname, followed by a comma and the initials ED. This means that the initial and surname go in the reverse order of the author. The letter E in the abbreviation for the word editor is capitalized to differentiate it from the abbreviation for the word edition. And if there is more than one editor, the initialization for the word editors will be EDS period rather than simply ED period. But what if the book has a translator instead? Let's take a look at a different example. If a work does have a translator, the information will go in the same sequence. Author, Dostoevsky, year, 1974, title, Notes from the Underground. Like the editor's name, the translator's name will go in parentheses after the book title, initial, followed by the surname, and will be closed out with a period. Like the abbreviation for the word editor, the abbreviation for the word's translator will be capitalized and closed out with a period. In addition to the translator, you will also have to add the original work's year of publication in parentheses at the end of an entry. Now that we know how to create a reference entry for a work with a translator, what do we do if the work is an edition other than the first? When you have a book that is an edition other than the first, you need to include the edition number. We still follow the same sequence of information, author, date, title, but then we'll put the edition number in parentheses. Now these edition numbers are in ordinals, that means they have letters. These letters, ST, ND, RD, TH, must be in the same font size as the rest of the text. This means you do not make them small. Likewise, it's important to note that the abbreviation for the word edition will be in lowercase to differentiate it from the abbreviation for the word editor, as we've just discussed. Now that we know how to create a reference entry for an edition, what do we do for a work that is one in a volume? Some multi-volume works have a collection title as well as individual titles for each volume. Others, however, simply have a collection title, and there is a difference with how we will reference each. If the individual volumes do not have their own title, the volume number will follow the collection title in parentheses, much like the edition number. In this context, the word volume will be abbreviated to VOL, and the V will be capitalized. In this example, we're referencing a work within the multi-volume work, which means that we require a page number after the volume number. The same approach is used for citing a work, chapter, or article within an edition other than the first. Here you'll see we have the volume number, comma, and then PP for the first and last page respectively, and then 263-286, all within the same parentheses. If the individual volume has its own title, then the volume title and collection title will be integrated together rather than offsetting the volume in parentheses. We begin with the collection title, a colon, the volume number closed out with a period, and then finally the volume title. In our example here, we have Tolkien, J.R.R. He is the author. The year of publication, 1994. The title of the collection, The Lord of the Rings, followed by a colon, volume 3, and the title of the volume, Return of the King. Now, what do we do if the volume is an edition other than the first? For a work that is both an edition other than the first and one of a volume, both the edition and volume number will share parentheses. They'll be separated by a comma, and the edition will come first. Here we have Lecter, H, the author, 1994, the year, Having Your Friends for Dinner, Preparing a Dinner Party as the title, parentheses, 5th edition, comma, volume 3, we close out the parentheses, and then finally introduce the publisher. So now you have a basic idea of how to create a reference for books, whether they be edited, translated, an edition other than the first, or one of a volume. But if you have any more questions about this or any other citing and referencing issues, be sure to book an appointment with the Writing Support Desk. Book early because our appointments fill up quickly. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.